Hi, today I'm going to be exploring my Amiga 2000. That's this computer here, and on the other side is my Amiga 3000. I just put them side by side to do a comparison of the size of them. So here we have room for two floppies. You can also put a hard drive, I guess, behind here. And of course you can put a CD-ROM in here, hard drive, whatever. Many times people had 5 1/4 inch hard drives in the early days. This system was released in 1988. This one was released in 1989 or 1990. This has all of my original stuff mostly. It's just a computer with 68,000. The 3000, of course, has the 68030. This computer is much faster. This computer is much more expandable. In some ways, if you want to have a lot of cards and stuff, this one's better if you can put an accelerator in it. Alright, let's take a look at the back of the machines. So here is the Amiga 2000. You can see that it has an extra card in it. That's my SCSI card. And I don't have any expansions in my Amiga 3000. All of the cards that go inside this machine go from top to bottom, and from this side on the Amiga 3000 they go sideways. And I prefer this one because it's smaller, and as I said, this one's much more expandable. I do want to make a couple of corrections about my Amiga 3000 video that I had last time. I'll do that next. Last time I mentioned that my Amiga 3000 had a 25 MHz CPU, and I said that the more expensive version had a 50 MHz CPU. I was incorrect. I actually have the more expensive version here. It has a 25 MHz CPU, and the less expensive version had a 16 MHz CPU. Also mentioned last time in my video that I couldn't see any corrosion on my battery, but actually this Amiga 3000 has a battery that is corroded. It's not bad, it hasn't affected the motherboard, but I didn't even notice the corrosion even though I used a magnifying glass until I was making the video. And then when I zoomed in on it, there's green corrosion all over the battery. Today I continue my theme of having a beer and listening to some Joy Division. This time I'm listening to Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. I think this came out in 1979. And I'm having a 7K IPA. I'll turn this around. This is called the 7K IPA because it's brewed in Santa Fe, which is approximately 7,000 feet above sea level. Here in Albuquerque, we're about 5,000 feet above sea level. Santa Fe is about an hour north of me. Alright, let's see where I go to next. These videos aren't really planned out. I kind of throw them together and see where they land. Oh, my buddy Quinn, who I'm exchanging these videos with, and also anyone who wants to watch them on YouTube, he's been trying to make kind of a diary or a journal with his videos, and I'm going to do this too. So this album, as I said, is Unknown Pleasures. It kind of has a story for me. In about 1992 or 1993, a friend of mine named Claire found this album on a record at a thrift store locally, and she got it and gave it to me. And I had that record in my car one day when I was eating lunch. My first wife, we thought that she had been pregnant, but it turned out she wasn't. But we decided, hey, maybe we should have a kid anyway. And so I wrote her a note on the inside paper that was on Unknown Pleasures, and I wrote that note May 23rd, 1993. And it basically said, hey, maybe we should decide to have a kid after all. And then we did. And in February of 1994, I had my son. So there's a story, a little bit of journal. Not sure who cares about that kind of stuff, but it's interesting to me. And my son did watch these last two videos I've made, so I think he knows that stuff already, but maybe he'll like to hear it again. This is my Amiga 3000 stacked up on top of my Amiga 2000. The reason I'm doing this is for a side comparison. I actually wrote down the dimensions, I measured them out. The Amiga 2000 is 17.5 inches wide by 15 3/4 inches deep and 6.5 inches tall. The Amiga 3000 is 14 inches, about 14.5 inches wide, 15.5 inches deep, and about 5 3/4 inches tall. I don't know those dimensions in metric, but if you're interested, you can look them up. I'm going to show you a couple of differences between the Amigas right now. So we have a serial port, and we have a serial port here. We have the floppy port, and we have the floppy port here. We have the parallel port, and we have the parallel port here. Let's see. We have the SCSI port on the 3000. There is no equivalent built into the 3000, but I do have one here on a card, which I don't even remember what the name of that card is, but we'll look it up in a minute. We'll find out. Here we have left and right audio, same over here. We have mono video out. Why the heck the 2000 has mono video out, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. The Amiga 1000 had color video out. Let's see, what else do I have on my Amiga 2000 here? We have the let's see, video slot here. Yeah, if I can remember this right. We have the processor slot here. So since I don't have anything in there, I just have the plain old 68000 running at about 7 megahertz. I think it's 7.14, something like that, but about 7 megahertz. Okay, let's see if I can't remember this correctly here. So here we have a Zorro slot, a Zorro slot, a Zorro slot, a Zorro slot, and second Zorro, or in a fifth Zorro slot. This is Zorro 2. On the Amiga 3000, we have Zorro 3. So this is a 32-bit machine, and this is a 16-bit system. Here we have, let's see, I hope I don't get this wrong. We have an ISA slot and another ISA slot, which they're not really connected unless you put in the card that allows you to run PC software. Here, there's also, in line with the Zorro slot, are two 16-bit ISA slots. If I remember correctly, these do have power for the ISA slots. So if you have like a video toaster here, you can actually have like a time-based corrector and I think the two 8-bit slots, I think. I might be getting this wrong. You know, it's been a long time, and I never had that kind of stuff. I did work with some of it before when I was working at Jabware as an Amiga technician, but I never had it myself. So yeah, you can see this is kind of cobbled together. This is actually a cover that came from a PC. What else we got here? I guess that's about it. I'm probably ready to open this sucker up. I'm not going to go through all the trouble of showing you how to open it because, you know, there's videos there you can watch that kind of stuff. And I'm excited to have this thing running, but I'm probably not going to get it running today yet either because I'm going to check it out and make sure it's going okay. All right, let's see what the inside of this thing looks like. I do want to remind the people watching that I am outside and there's been some traffic going up and down the street, so if you hear some traffic, that's why. So this is the inside of my Amiga, looking at it from the front. This is the Amiga 2000, and some of the areas of this motherboard aren't easy to see. I have a revision 6.2 motherboard, which is the second from the end. I think that means it has the original chipset. I don't think it's the enhanced one. I wouldn't swear to that though. I think 6.5 has the enhanced chipset. Although I think I upgraded some of this. I can't remember. It's been a long time, but not too long because I bought this Amiga 2000 in about 2007. I didn't have an Amiga 2000 anymore, and I wanted to have one that I could use for gaming. Although I already had a 3000, so probably didn't need it. I upgraded this to 3.1 at the time. It came from eBay for very cheaply, under $100 I think. Didn't have anything in it, so this is a 2091, and I'll show you what that looks like up close. And I guess before I do that, the 2091 has a hard drive, and it would normally have up to 2 megs of RAM right here, but it's empty, so all I have is the 1 meg of RAM that's on the motherboard. And I think in this case, with this Amiga, I have it set up to be all chip RAM, so it's pretty darn slow, especially with this hard drive set up the way it is, because this hard drive kind of wants to have fast RAM. So, and this is no exaggeration, this hard drive is only about maybe twice as fast as my floppy drive. When you put in the fast RAM, it gets much faster, which is, I'm not sure how that works, but that's the way it does work. Also, I have an older version of the EEPROMs on here. I'll show that in a minute. So I can't get really big hard drives. So I think this is either a 40 meg hard drive or an 80 meg hard drive. When I do boot up this Amiga, I'm going to put in sysinfo and see what it's got on it. That's going to probably require me to shuffle some disks around, which I don't really have handy anymore. But we'll see what we're doing. Again, this is the inside of my Amiga 2000. These are the 8-bit ISA slots, and these are the two 16-bit ISA slots. These are the 5 Zorro slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 of these slots are in line with the Zorro 2 slots. I believe if you have the bridge board for the 8086 or the 286 or even the 386, I don't think there was a 486 made, but then you can start using these, otherwise you can't. This is the processor slot. I think earlier I said that was the 02 slot. Anyway, Quinn, this is the inside of my machine. It's kind of boring. This is my video slot, just on the other side of the PSU. And I believe that's where you would put the video toaster. I keep getting confused, as I said a couple times now, between the expansion slot for processor and the video toaster slot. Well, I guess it could be for other things, but most people, I think, use it for the video toaster. And I guess some expansion cards and things like that for video. I'll zoom in on that in a minute here. Here's a close-up of that slot. Not too exciting either, but trying to show you the Amiga. Sitting here inside of my 02 slot is an Amiga SCSI card. This one is made by Commodore, and it's got a quantum hard drive and room for up to 2 megs of RAM. Here is the set of 2 EEPROMs, which are kind of the brains of this unit, and the newest versions of them allow you to have larger hard drives. This one doesn't allow that. So you can connect a internal SCSI device here. You can have up to 7, I think, on a SCSI 2, I think. And then, so I would normally, all the previous 2000s that I had like a second hard drive here. And also, I've also, underneath this, I would have CD-ROM drives sometimes. I never had one like Quinn had, and he was showing he had a busted SCSI CD-ROM drive that had like the caddy that goes inside, kind of like the CD TV. I never had one like that. Mine always popped out and popped in. Kind of like, I was going to say current ones, but not many people use CD-ROM or DVDs anymore, I don't think. And I'm definitely not Apple. All right, so let's see. Oh, did I already say that this is where you put the RAM up to 2 megabytes? Let's see if there's anything more interesting about this. That's about it. I can't remember what the jumpers do. Man, I used to know this stuff so good. And I guess I don't need to know it anymore, so it's just kind of fallen out of my brain. I figured why not have a close-up of where the RAM gets inserted. As I was saying, this is the place where you can put up to 16 dips for the RAM. I think if you fill it up with, you can fill all of them and have up to 512K, I think, or up to 2 megabytes, depending on the size of the dips. And this kind of RAM was extremely common on PC motherboards for their 640K or 1 megabyte or whatever. And when I got this in 2007, I believe I was looking around for that RAM, because at the time it would have been really cheap if I could have found some of those motherboards. But I never could. If any of you know where you can get that RAM cheaply, maybe it's not even worth it. Maybe I should just upgrade this machine, or just use my 3000 or 2000 or CD32. I mean, I've got plenty of Amigas sitting around here not being used, which is kind of a shame, because they're a great machine along with my entire 8-bits, which I use more often. I guess one of the reasons I don't use some of these is because they kind of require a lot of setup. But I've decided I'm going to try to set up this Amiga 2000 today and see if I can get it running. All right, keep on watching and let's see what happens. As Quinn said, I'm going to try the smoke test today. All right, what do we have here? We have an Amiga 1080 monitor. This is the one that was for the original Amiga. They now referred to as the Amiga 1000 here in America, and I guess elsewhere. I have to find all the cables for it, and power cables and a mouse, and I know where the keyboards are. This might take a little while, but you won't have to wait, because I am going to find it and come on back. Let's see. I guess maybe in a moment here I will take off this plastic, and or maybe I should hold up, because this plastic here, there is a semi-clean monitor under there, if you can believe it. So I'll leave it on there until I can find the cables, just in case I can't find them. Yeah, check it out, by the way. The original Amiga symbol with the check mark. You know, now I think people think that the Boing Ball goes with this. In fact, that would be awesome to show the Boing Ball demo, which people think of with the Amiga. It's been a few minutes, and I've been going through my Amiga. Well, I've been going through a lot of boxes in the garage. Found 3 boxes that are for the Amiga. I think that these are the only ones I have. This is miscellaneous Amiga software, hardware. Well, all of these have miscellaneous software, hardware. And in this one I have another Amiga 1200. This is not the one I showed in my original Amiga video, which had my 1200, which is the beat up one that I had originally. This one was given to me in around 2015, 2016 by a friend of mine who lives in northern New Mexico. Inside of this is something I just opened this up very briefly, and I found that I have an Amiga 520, which plugs into the SCSI, not the SCSI port, the video out port, the 23-pin video port on the Amiga, and allows you to hook up composite color. I'm not sure why that wasn't built into the Amiga 500, as I said earlier. Stupid that it wasn't. So I'm going to look through some of these boxes and see what I can find. I might actually do that with you. Let's see what it's in here. Okay, this is the first Amiga box that I opened up. Inside is another Amiga 1200. This is my second one. This one is plain. There's nothing in it except for what came in the Amiga 1200 originally in 1992. We also have some interesting stuff. This is the cable that allows it to be used with an Amiga monitor. This is a power supply that's labeled Amiga 600, unlike the one that came with my 1200, which is labeled Amiga 300, the original name for the 600. These are a cable that I don't find a lot of use, but I used to have a friend who would use them. This is a 23-pin to VGA adapter, and what it was used for was the Amiga can support a lot of video modes, but most of them aren't used. They're definitely not used for games, but they could have very high resolutions, and some people use them for productivity. And I had a friend who would do that. He would use this word processing with a with a VGA monitor for such things as I think maybe not PageStream, but WordWorth or a couple of word processors. Then we have, the regular cables. Here we have monitor cables. We have the Amiga 520, which I was mentioning earlier, and some software disks. I'm not going to go through those. Those all came with this Amiga 1200, and only a few of them are original, I think. There's word processors and various other stuff in there. Very few games, though. All right, that's what I'm going to put everything in this box. I'm going to put it all away, and we'll see if I can't find anything interesting in my other boxes. Here's some more stuff. This is from the second box. Here we have a floppy drive, an external SCSI device for, this used to hold my CD-ROM drive. That CD-ROM drive died, I don't know, 15 years ago. I guess I could get another one at some point. I'm not going to take these out of the plastic. This is another SCSI drive, CD-ROM. I got this at a thrift store for $5, and it does work, actually. This is something that's highly unusual and quite rare. This goes with my CD32. This is an SX32, and when I show you my CD32, I'll break that out of there. Inside of it, it's, I think, a 2 GB hard drive and 8 MB RAM, and it's a SIM slot. And here I've got a floppy drive. This is the official Commodore one that came after the one that was released for the Amiga 1000. And this is a third-party floppy disk. I think those still work. I haven't used them for a couple of years, but they're handy. They're handy to have around. What else is in this box? Okay, here's some original software I have. I have Elite. This is for the Apple II. I have IBM version of Frontier 2, and I have Elite 3 First Encounters, and then on the other side I have Deluxe Music 2, even though it only says Deluxe Music. In the very corner you can see it's version 2. All the packaging inside of all these is complete, including the big map and stuff that comes with it. I keep these around. They kind of remind me of my first wife. When we first got our Amiga, one of the first games we ever had was this game, and she was devoted to it. We had a version that was actually for, it was a copy that her dad gave us. But this is the original, and man, did she play the heck out of this game, and this game too. This game was hard to find back in the day, but I got it for practically nothing in the Overstock box, brand new, or an Overstock area of a store called Hastings. And my friend Chris has made a ton of music using Deluxe Music, the first one, and he wasn't really into the second one. He didn't like it as much, but I did use that for a few things, like getting his like importing his music and printing out some stuff for him, and making PDFs of his music. One of these days I plan to play these games, maybe on the Amiga, but probably, well, I want to play Elite. I don't think these two are available on the, and this one's definitely not available on the Amiga, but it's in there because they all go together. Okay, what else do I got in there? Okay, here are some floppy disks. Nothing exciting. These open up just like you'd expect. And I've got a Mega Ball in here. This is a registered copy of a 3.0. One of my favorite games for the Amiga, actually. It's just a breakout clone. A registered copy of Scorched Tanks. I think this is the last version that was ever made by Michael Welch. Some copy protected software, not copy protected, some some just weird software, Ghouls and Ghosts, Pac-Mania, UGG, Clax, The Lion King. I just listened to an Amigos podcast where they covered this. I think that was the last one. Bubble Bobble, some fixed games for the AGA system, RoboCop, Soccer Kid, which is one of my favorite AGA games, especially the AGA version. Some of the stuff, okay, like when I used to do work at a store, I used to use this all the time. It required some dongles that hang off the back, but it would test your Amiga hardware via hardware and software. It worked really great. Frontier, this is more Soccer Kid, just various stuff, nothing exciting. I did use, this was, where did it go? Excellence. Excellence was the word processor I preferred. I used some other ones too, and some of them were better than this one, but I just like the font that was used in this, and it just worked really well. Let's see what else we got here. I know this is, I don't really like watching videos where they do this, but Volified, which is a Quicks game. I have the original version of a Deluxe Paint 4 somewhere in this mess. Amos stuff. I used to program in Amos. Never made a game though, but tried. Just stuff. Archon. Man, this is an old version of Archon. And Archon never worked good, really. I mean, you can read that it worked better. If someone can find me a version of Archon for the Amiga that worked past Workbench 1.1, I found some that claimed to, or 1.2, but they never did, and it had some problems anyway, like collision detection problems. Archon's one of my favorite games in the entire 8-bit. Paperboy games, miscellaneous games, Amos stuff. And finally, this disc. What is this? I don't even know, but I want to show you the way this opens up. It's really cool. Is that cool or what? You can't really see there too much. But, whoop. Let's see if I can't see better. Neat, right? Doesn't really help you seeing stuff too well, though. Various stuff. I think that's all my discs for the Amiga. I did find a whole bunch of Windows discs in this box and a whole bunch of DOS discs. Why they're in there, I don't know. I actually do have some places where they belong, but it's not there. Right, let's move on to some CD-ROMs I have. Alright, here's an original Amiga disc that's got pictures in it. I've never even used it, but I have it. It's got Toaster Frame Store. I don't know what that is, but that's why I keep it around. I was just curious. When I was using my CD32, these discs here in 2007, so January, some of them are from June, in 2009 too. But what I did here is you can, like I said, I have an SX, is it XX1, I think, for the, or it's SX32. I can't remember which one I have off the top of my head. There's two different ones that have similar names. But I filled these discs up and I moved them all, or most of the stuff that was on them, to my CD32's hard drive. And it made it really handy. I would just fill these things up. And I did this for several days in a row. And I used my Amiga CD32 for like 15 hours a day for a few days in a row until my wife said, "Hey, what are you doing? Spend some time with me." And then I did. But the Amiga CD32, it's a great example of something that is underutilized in the Commodore world. And, man, I just don't understand how Commodore went out of business. I mean, I do, but I don't at the same time. They had great hardware. But then again, they just didn't know what to do with it, I guess. So who wants to see copies of discs? Try to use your computers to the maximum that you can. And this is one way to do it. Get some software on them and use them. You know what? There was one last thing buried at the bottom of that box, and it is this. On this side, you've got 9-pin, looks like a joystick, and on the opposite end, you have PS2. What is this thing? I bought this in 2007, and it allows me to plug it into the mouse port and use a PS2 mouse. It supposedly allows you to use a laser mouse, but it does. I mean, it does, and it works, but not very well. Like the arrow points all over the place on the screen. I'm not sure why that is, but it's too bad because it would work great. But even a ball mouse that's a PS2 works pretty darn good. So that's that. I love this little device. Pretty great. Goodness, I forgot I had this. This is a cat weasel. I never actually used it. I bought it when I was at a classic computer convention in Las Vegas in about 2001 or so, something like that. This is the only card I've ever owned, and probably one of the few made that plugs into both the 02 slot and an PCI slot. It could be used in either an Amiga or a PC. The way it works is it lets you read Amiga floppies on a PC, and it lets you copy protected disks. I never used it. It's too bad. The person who made it was actually, I think, selling it, at the convention, and I didn't realize they were there until the last day of the convention, just an hour or so before the convention ended, which was too bad because once I started talking to them, they had, what is that lady's name? Very famous in the Amiga community and the C64 community. She had, at the time, she was designing a C64 clone or something like that, that I think she ended up putting them in joysticks, things like that. But we ended up talking, and the show was closing, and we talked to the end of the show. It was pretty fun. And they told me that no one was there for Amiga, and they were surprised. And I was one of the first people to really talk with them. So that was pretty fun. Anyway, pretty neat. I thought I'd show you that. It was in a box. Maybe I can find a use for it someday. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but if you don't have Amiga Forever, then you should get it. This is the premium edition. I already got it 14 years ago, but it's still worth getting. It's got the CD that has the Amiga Forever on it, which is the emulator, and with ROMs that let you use the emulator without any issues. This one's way outdated, but keep it around because it's got 2 DVDs with all sorts of videos. If you don't have this DVD set, you don't know what you're missing. There's so much cool stuff on here, extras, behind-the-scenes stuff about the Amiga community from the 80s and 90s. Pick this up. It's still being sold. Yeah, and I think there's every year when they come out with it, or every 2 years, so whenever the Amiga Forever comes out, it comes out with a version that's got the 2 DVDs. They're the same as always. So if you've bought this previously, those 2 DVDs will be the same, I believe. Anyway, give it a go. You should watch this, and especially if you can watch it with a group of people. It's really fun. It's really fun. What have we got here? We've got 4 Amiga mice and a CD32 controller. None of these mice work great, but then again, like these 2 are probably nearing 30 years old. You know, this controller does work. I'll show you something about that in a close-up afterward. This is an unusual Amiga mouse. I don't know where that one came from, but it was in my collection, and I think I got it with one of my Amigas. This was one of the Amiga mice. If you look at this, it's got the, I'll just bring it up to the camera here. It's got the logo that was used for just a few minutes in the 1990s when Commodore was being bounced around between countless companies. I want to show you something about that CD32 controller. A lot of people complain about the CD32 controller, say it's not very handy, especially these 4 buttons. Well, these like indentions here, or not indentions, they're like the opposite of indentions, and they come out and they are the most uncomfortable thing you can use. However, until I got my box CD32, I didn't realize that there's a D-pad that comes over this. And it comes with a CD32 when it's new, although I've not seen a CD32 pad have it. I'm guessing Commodore was able to get around the money they would have had to pay to Nintendo if they wanted to have a D-pad. So they came up with this clunky method. So when I show my CD32, I'll try to show you what it's supposed to look like there. It looks pretty neat. CD32 pad, once that's installed, is not too bad at all. This is the last piece of Amiga hardware that I'm going to show. I have a box still to go through that has mostly miscellaneous cables and floppy disks. I'm going to show one more thing of floppies, but that's it. This is a, what is it called, in the side of the PC card slot that's on the side of the 1200 and 600. This allows you to run SCSI from the 1200 without expanding it. This was the way I did it when I first had my 1200. It was a pretty good device. One of the neat things about it is if you had a CD-ROM and not just expansion hard drives that were external, you could actually run, not all, but quite a bit of the CD32 library on an Amiga 1200 without doing anything. It had a floppy disk that somehow helped you out. And there's a couple of games that I think take advantage of the extra hardware that's in the CD32, but I think hardly any games use it, so that's a pretty neat device. Last thing I want to show here before I try to get an Amiga up and running is some floppy disks that came with the Amigas. These are the original discs that came with my workbench for my Amiga 1200, and yeah, that's basically all there is to it. I think it came with 5 or 6 floppy disks. I think so, yeah. I think it came with 5. And then this is something, if you had the 1942 monitor, it was required. It was a driver, basically, and it lets you use, I think, some of the extended screen modes that were offered by that monitor. Yeah, so the fonts, discs, and stuff like this. But if you were to put this on your hard drive, then you could load it all and you would never have to switch discs anymore, thank goodness. Yeah, and this is 3.0, my 2000 and my 1200 and my CD32 and my 3000 all have a Workbench 3.1. Alright, I did say I wasn't going to show any more hardware, but I am. I came across this in my box that has a whole bunch of cables and whole bunch of floppy disks. But this is the high density disk drive from my Amiga 3000. I labeled it as flaky, and that's an understatement. I don't think it even read disks anymore. But I figured it probably could be fixed by me or someone. These are really hard to find. At least they used to be. I don't know if you can find them easily now. And I don't even think people use floppy disks anymore. There's so many alternatives to using Amigas nowadays. It's 2020, and does anyone need a floppy disk anymore? Unless you're really, really wanting to use floppy disks, what's the point? There's WHD load and so many other ways to load software onto the Amiga that these things are, well, I was going to say they've gone the way of the Dodo, but kind of so has the Amiga, but they're still fun to use. So I'm sure there's some people out there that get a kick out of using floppy disks. Although, in fact, if anyone can tell me, was there any Amiga software that was ever released on a high-density floppy for the Amiga line of computers? I don't think there was, but there might have been. So let me know. Thanks. Up next is going to probably be my Amiga 2000 being set up. It's going to be awfully ugly unless I can find all the cables required. Hopefully I can. Okay, I've got my Amiga monitor unbagged. I've got my Amiga 2000 facing me. I still have to find a keyboard that's going to work. There are 3 keyboards. I know 2 of them are bad. And I haven't fired this thing up yet. I'll do it live. Unfortunately, it might not boot. It's been a while. I think I said in a previous video that I haven't booted it in a few years. And I did boot it since 2007 when I did the upgrades to it. And I don't know when it's been the last time I've booted it up. I'm going to do a close-up of the Amiga 1080 monitor just to show you some neat things about it. Alright, here is the back of my 1080 monitor. Of course, this is where the power supply goes. This is set up right now. There's 3 switches. You can use digital for the Commodore 128. I don't really know what else other systems I have that could use it. I have a Timex Sinclair 2068 that could use it. This is the analog RGB in. This can adjust your vertical height. This monitor was made 34 years ago in June of 1986 for the original Amiga that came out around that time. I think it came out in November of 1985. Wow, it's a long time ago. So here we have video, so that's composite. Here's chroma, and here's mono audio. Why they would give it mono audio for the original Amiga monitor, I will never know. I used to have the 1084S monitor, which was a stereo version of the 1084, and luckily that Commodore put anti-flame or flame retardant plastic, which people complain about because it's yellowed, which is really done. But that monitor caught on fire one day when I was out of the room, and it surely would have caught fire very badly if it didn't have that flame retardant stuff. So these two together, if you use these signals, you'll get S-video, basically. They didn't call it that back then, I don't think, but that's what you get. In fact, I made a cable for my CD32 because it has S-video out. And I'm not very good at making cables, so it looks worse than composite, but it shouldn't. I'm going to plug in the cables and see what we can come up with here. I do want to tell you guys that it's getting toward the evening here, and so people are coming home, passing by the garage on their way home from work. But it is what it is. So, first I want to show you, I think this is the only monitor cable that I have. It's kind of beat up, so it works, but it's got some issues. But I'm going to try to use it today and see if I can get it to work. So I'm plugging it, hopefully I'm out of the way, plugging it into, I guess I need to plug it into the correct port. Is there the video port out? And if I can get it in there, there we go. I'm not going to plug anything in and screw it. Oh, sure. Yeah, sure, I'll screw it in there. And then I plug it into the input on the monitor. I'm just gonna, yeah, it's pretty loose. Hopefully it works good enough. Since we have stereo out of the Amiga, I need to use a Y adapter. And this is going to be a, what do we got? We got, what is that, the male connectors. So we'll put that there. We'll plug it into the audio. So we'll have stereo in here, but it's going to be coming out mono. And of course I need to plug in my power supplies, or my power cables into the power supplies. And I will do that without being on film, and we'll see what we can do here in a minute. Then I gotta go find my mouse, a joystick, and what else do I gotta find? Keyboard. Alright. We're almost there, we're almost there. Hopefully it works. If not, that's okay. Okay, this is starting to look more and more like an Amiga 2000 computer with every minute here. We have an Amiga 2000 keyboard. I don't know if this one works. It's not labeled as working or dead. I have two that are unlabeled, and I have one that's labeled as dead. So we'll try this one and see what happens. I have two mice. I don't think any of these mice work properly, but we're going to try this one with it. We have this mouse, which we'll try second, and we have a CD32 controller, which I think works okay with the regular Amiga. It's uncomfortable without that sticker on top here, but it will work. Otherwise, I can try to find a different controller, see what I think of it. I don't really have any games on this hard drive. I think this hard drive just boots up the OS, and that's it. Alright, let's give it a second here, and I'm going to plug these items in from the other side, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to try turning this on. I've not tried turning it on in, I don't know, like I said, quite a while. I don't use a lapel mic. I just use the internal mic of this camera here, and if I get faint, I'll try to fix it in post. But maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But let's see. Also, if I recall, the Amiga 2000's power supply is really loud. All right, let's try that now. All right, I've got power. We've got a green light on the unit. Let's see what happens here. Sounds like the hard drive is spinning. I don't see a picture, so... Oh, I guess I need to turn on the monitor. Let's see what we got here. Still waiting. Sounds like if it was going to work, it would have worked. And I should have a picture by now. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'm not going to try to fix this on camera. I'll try one quick thing, see if I have it in the wrong mode. I want it to be on RGB. Oh, there we go. I do have it on the wrong mode. So I have Amiga 3.1 working just fine. Let's try moving the mouse here. See if we get the mouse movement. And sort of, this mouse is kind of crummy, but I probably need the mouse pad for that. So I'm going to boot it up. I'm going to shut it down, boot it up again, doing a close-up of the monitor. This is an NTSC machine, and let's see if I can remember some stuff here. I'm going to try getting into the, I think it's Amiga E. If that brings up the CLI, I'm going to be shocked. I did. So CLI. All right, we have, it's in RAM disk. Man, I can't believe I'm remembering this stuff. What can I do? I think I can start up the editor by typing ed. Looks like I'm using, is it edit? Something like that. I thought maybe I have to be in the correct directory for that, like the sys directory or something like that. Let's see if I can get there from here. Sys, okay, now ed. Nope, I can't remember. Oh, I think I have to do ed with an argument, so let's go RAM. This is the kind of stuff I don't like it when people do. So I think it's ed, and then I'll have a file, text.text. Let's try that. And there we go. We have a an Amiga word processing file. I'm going to pause this for a second and zoom in. Okay, first I want to say I want to test the keyboard. So I'm going to type in, let's see, I don't even use these kind of keyboards anymore. So I'm going to try to type in the quick brown box jumped over the lazy dog. Well, let's see, the quick brown, yeah, that looks like it's there. Cool. I actually, while I was away from this, I found myself a mouse pad, and it seems to work. You're probably looking at this screen and it looks awful. Well, I don't have any games on here or anything, and I don't want to, do I want to save and exit? Sure, I will save it. So I will close my RAM disk. Let's explore the hard drive a little bit. Let's see, I have 660K of RAM available, no fast RAM, as I was saying when we were looking inside this machine. I do want to say that I've noticed I've already recorded 35 videos that are going to make up this complete video, so I'm going to close it out here in a minute. Got someone yelling down the street. Let's see, how big is this hard disk? Oh, I have deluxe music on here. I guess I could load that up. I have, I think, total 40 megabytes. Alright, I cut away for a little while because someone's dog got out and it was running around the neighborhood. So I have 588K available. I only have one program installed, and that's Deluxe Music 2. I started it up, which it does work. It works fine. The problem is, when it's done, I'll have to blur that out, I guess. So this is registered to a friend of mine. He's not going to want his name in here. I have How do I switch screens? Is it Alt-M? So wait, I can put a screen to the background. I'll do that real quick. So the screen is in the background, and I have 81K left. I tried loading up a score. Nope, sorry, can't do that. Not enough memory available. So with this program running, I have like not too much more memory than a Commodore 64 has available. Pretty crazy. Let me try to put some notes in. I can't get sound to work. I don't know if that's because I don't have enough memory or what. I'm not going to try to diagnose this program right now. I'm going to quit. And let's see. Oh, there we go. Quit. Yes, I want to quit. I'll show you a little bit more. I do have a 40 megabyte hard drive, like I said. There's nothing else on here unless I can see. Oh, something I should show about. I have a Kickstart 40.63 and Workbench 40.42, which I believe means I have Workbench 3.1. I have those ROMs installed. Let's see here. Is there anything I want to show? I don't think so. There's not too much to show. There's nothing on here, but it does work. Hey, I would load up a floppy disk, but I don't trust the loading up a floppy disk. This thing's probably super dirty. But I opened up the system disk. I can go to prefs. And normally I should be able to use sound. I think I can go here, and I can at least play a beep. But when I try it, it doesn't actually work. Oh, now it does. Oh, well that's awesome. Before I did this video, I just tried to make sure that I had connections good in the back. And I guess I didn't. It didn't feel like I made any difference. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that I got caught on camera, because sometimes when things like that happen, it never gets caught on camera. Alright, well, cool. So I have sound working now too. So there's nothing else I can test in here. What I need to do is I need to figure out, I don't know how to actually clean a disk drive, but I'm going to try to do that before I try to load any floppies. That would be the good thing to do. I probably have several hundred floppies that I could use. Most of them are blank. They're actually from the PC, but they are the 880K, or the 1 megabyte disk, and not the 2 megabyte that gets formatted to 880K. When I found a whole bunch of those at a computer store, I just picked them all up for practically nothing. Let's see, what else can I show here? I can mess around with the inputs, but really there's nothing to show, because there's nothing on here. Alright, well, I'm going to close it out here. Quinn, I hope in your next video you're able to get your 2000 booted up, and maybe that would be great to see something working, even if it's just a boot screen like this. In fact, I'll show you real quick. I think you have Workbench 3.1. Even if you don't have anything inside of your, like any floppies or any hard disks, you should still be able to turn on your machine. So I'm turning on my 2000. It's being turned on, and if I hold both the buttons on the mouse, I should get this screen here. Yep, perfect. So you can switch between PAL and NTSC by doing this. Unfortunately, that doesn't truly flip between them. It kind of does a NTSC/PAL mode hybrid. So it's, I think it's running at 50 Hertz for the output, but really it's still running at 60 Hertz for cycles. So it doesn't really use, some games will work with it, but most won't. So let's see what our boot options are. I can boot from my DF0, which is of course my floppy disk, and I can boot from my system disk, which I'm not going to do. So I'm going to cancel that. My display options are PAL and NTSC, but I wish it really went into that true mode, but it doesn't. Cancel that, and you can check out my board. And manufacturer 514, I think, means Commodore, and that is my 2091 SCSI drive. That's it. That's all I can do. So let's boot the system one more time, and we'll make sure it actually works properly. Pretty cool that it's working at all. I'm kind of surprised, to tell you the truth, since it's been so long since I booted this computer. And right now my hard disk is spinning up. I've got a black screen, but that's okay. And my final boot. And awesome. Cool. When I don't have anything booted, I have 700K of chip RAM, and that's it. So my Workbench is taking up approximately 300K, or about a third of my RAM. That's pretty crazy. Alright, I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos, and I've been enjoying making them. Alright, until my next video. Quinn, it's your turn now. Make a video and make me proud, man. Awesome.